Last session, we looked at the concept, how do you relate to the world? And the fundamental principle of one's relationship with the world, we learned it's not what you relate to, but how you relate to it. When we say how you relate to it, it's with what you relate. Are you relating the world with your mind, projecting its expectations onto the world? Or are you relating the world with your intellect, taking proper measurements, making proper assessment? So it is very important to understand that everything in life, everything and every being has a unique nature, has a unique quality, which we said is vasana. And everything is very true to its nature. So expecting an object, expecting a person to be anything other than its nature would be foolish on the individual's part. So it's important that you align your expectations, you ensure you fall in line with what the world is presenting itself, rather than expecting or wanting the world to be anything other than what you wish. It's important that you align yourself to the world rather than blaming the world. And when you align yourself with these to what the world is, align your expectations, make sure your expectations as reasonable, as realistic as possible. The moment your expectations are unreasonable, unrealistic, it becomes the root cause of your stress. You will suffer the consequences. You will establish a wrong relationship with the world if you don't get your assessment right. And then we said this concept of relationship with the world leads us to the next concept of how you manage stress. So till now, we have covered the concept of acquisition and enjoyment. We have touched on happiness. We have looked at the importance of how you relate with the world. So how this profound wisdom gives us, it is only giving you a bird's eye view, please. It's no way doing justice to the eternal wisdom or to these various aspects of life. And now the fourth aspect is how you learn to manage your stress. Now, all of us experience some kind of stress, whether you like it or not, whether you accept it or not. All of us go through a certain amount of stress. Now, what is this concept of stress? Now, just like disease is to the body, stress is to the mind. Whenever your body goes through that phase of disease or ill health, we go through a phase which is not your natural state. I could be having flu, I could be having any kind of ailment. When you experience that temporal phase, you're not your normal self. You lose your normalcy and you're uncomfortable with it. Why are you not comfortable? is because that phase of disease or ill health is your unnatural state. Like now, when I am sitting in front of you all, I feel there's nothing wrong with my body. In fact, when there's nothing wrong with your body, you don't feel the presence of your body. Let's say if I had something which I'm not used to. Example, let's say if I've had spicy food yesterday night, I would be having a disturbing bowel or something uncomfortable because it's not my comfort zone. And when something is not right with my tummy, I can actually feel my tummy now. The fact nothing is wrong, RPG, don't smile at me. I have not eaten anything spicy and there's nothing wrong with my tummy. I'm just giving an example. I can sense your cheeky smile. So I say I better clarify that. There's nothing wrong with me. Everything is fine. It's example. Right. Thank you for the understanding and assessment, sir. Please get it right. I would not eat anything spicy. Huh? So, but the moment something is wrong, you feel it. So when you are overstrained yourself, when you hurt yourself, you feel the presence of it. That's a sign it is not in its natural state. When you don't feel it, your body is its natural state. So health is your natural state of the physical body. Exactly the same way, stress is not your natural state. Your mind, the natural state of your mind is to remain peaceful and calm, is to be poised, is to be equanimous, is to be balanced. That is its natural state. Please understand that. Please accept that. Please respect that. And whatever I do, however I conduct myself, how I relate with the world, determines whether that relationship creates a peace and harmony within me, or it creates a chaos within me. So the peace or chaos that you experience within you is a result of your relationship with the world. And you may ask me, so why should I be so concerned with the state of my mind? How does it really matter? I get you when you say that peace of mind is your natural state. So until you get back to your natural state, you wouldn't be comfortable. Isn't it? You wouldn't be comfortable until you get to that state. But then why should I be overly concerned about my mind? You should be very concerned. If I were you, I will be very seriously concerned. What is the state of my mind? Why should you be concerned? Anand, any thoughts?
Hari Om, Guruji.
Hari Om.
Yeah, I think it impacts everything that you would be doing and creating ripple effects, not only in your actions, but maybe to the actions of, on others who are around you.
So you mean there are consequential effects of your actions?
Consequences, yeah, consequences, right? On you, maybe your health, your body, the environment, the people around you, and it cascades.
It has got a cascading effect. It reflects in everything that you do thereafter. It determines on your physical health, it determines the work atmosphere, it determines the family dynamics, it determines everything. And what is that underlying principle that established? In fact, you're perfectly stated. And what is that which really substantiates and supports this argument is this thought. And this thought, which is the root of what I'm saying, is the world is a projection of your mind. Everything in the world is determined by the state of your mind, because it's your mind that projects the world. So if your mind is unhealthy, everything that you carry out in your life will reflect that state of an unhealthy inner state. There will be imperfection. There will be a lot to be desired because you're not perfect within. So if you have got a healthy mind, a healthy world, if you want to understand it, it's a sports mind sees a sports world. A student mind lives in a student's world. A pessimistic mind is a pessimistic world. Oh my God, the moment I think of the word pessimistic, there are some people that come to my mind. Every time I interact with them, every time I connect with them, I see so much of pessimism in their life. All the time they're complaining, all the time they're grumbling, all the time they feel something is wrong with the world. They believe there's nothing wrong with them. They are certain, even if the gods were to come down and want to have a conversation with them, they'll find something wrong with the god himself. Nothing wrong with you. Nothing wrong with me. That kind of a mindset. And you see, there are people who are extremely optimistic. And you know who is an optimist or a pessimist? A pessimist is one who looks at difficulty in every opportunity. He looks at a challenge in every opening. And an optimist is one who looks at opportunity in every difficulty. It's exactly the opposite. So it's just not what is the state of your mind, because it actually reflects in everything that you're doing. Therefore, it would not be wrong to conclude with the thought flow of what we learned the previous session on your relationship with the world leading to stress, that stress is nothing but mental agitations arising due to your wrong relationship with the world. Remember this, the internal stress that you experience is arising out of your wrong relationship with the world. If I don't relate the world well, that will result in a mental flux or agitation within me. As somebody said, stress is nothing more than a mere socially acceptable, sorry, it's a form, it's not form, an acceptable form of social illness. Typo error there. Stress is nothing more than a socially acceptable form of social illness. And it is rampant. It is like an infectious disease. And the sad part of life is we've accepted it as a part and parcel of life. We don't examine what is the cause of stress. We don't go to its root cause and uproot it. All, if at all, everybody has quick fix solutions to deal with stress, and everybody resorts to those quick fix measures to deal with stress, not realizing that it will not address the root of the problem. See, if I keep trimming the weeds from the surface in my garden, I find these weeds keep growing and I keep trimming them. It's not going to help me solve the problem, because come a few days, again, the weeds will grow because you have not addressed the root. The roots are very deeply rooted into the soil. You're only treating with the expressions, not the cause. So the stress will come, continue to come, because you're not addressed the root cause. Now the question to you, Ashwati, don't worry, I know you know me and you know the format well. It's not to challenge or intimidate or test your level of understanding. It is just to have a dialogue. Can you tell me, if I were to get to that core of the problem. What is the root cause of stress? Because unless and until we get to the root cause, we will not be able to address it and eliminate it. It keeps reappearing and becomes a menace and nuisance in our life, destroying your peace. So what's the root cause of stress?
The root cause of stress, in my opinion, would be, as you said before, right, relating to the world. And if you believe that, the world should act one way and you perceive it as, going against how you believe it should, perform, then it's just going to cause agitation. So you should manage your expectation and don't put that much of expectation into the world, for example, for a child, if they make a mistake, you can say, they're just a child. You cannot expect much from them. But some adults behave like
The
children
same goes to adults
sometimes.
also. Sometimes you
Exactly.
say
Yeah,
they have only physically grown, mentally not grown. So you have to align
exactly.
that to certain people, isn't it?
Yes.
As kid would say, oh, you're also behaving like another kid, isn't it?
Yeah. A big kid. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So the one reason is, if you want to nail it,
The expectations don't match what is currently happening, the reality.
the expectations don't match the reality. So get on to life understanding this. And if you are grounded in the understanding that, the first and the last thing that you can learn on the concept of stress, you're right, absolutely right what you have said. But if you want to really nail the concept of stress, the first and the last thing that you must understand of stress. Any idea? Oh, no, first and the last thing also, huh? Means the concept of stress doesn't go beyond that. What's that one thing? All right, think along. You're very much in line with the thought. The first and the last principle, first and the last thing we must understand of stress is it is not because of an external factor. Each one of us believe the internal stress is arising because of an external factor. It could be the weather, it could be the insecurity in the job scenario, it could be the non-cooperation of my team members, it could be non-performance of my child, or it could be anything outward. It could be the stock market, it could be the government, it could be your financial status, it could be your family concern, it could be your professional issues. We believe it is external. The first and the last principle means the most important thumb rule with stress is there's nothing wrong with the world. If you can approach relationship with the world with the understanding that there's nothing wrong with the world, there's nothing that needs correction. Start with the thought. Now, what do we approach this thought with? We approach the world that something is wrong with the world, nothing is wrong with me, that needs correction, I am perfect. If we approach life, if I approach my relationship, let's say with my spouse, relationship with my team, relationship with the government, if I start relating with the people every day and day out with this mindset, there's something wrong with them, nothing wrong with me, what would that result in? Oh, I continue to expect them to be other than what they are, continue to grumble and complain, believing nothing is wrong with me, but everything is wrong with them. So they need to change and nothing wrong to change with me. The end result is you will continue to suffer, continue to pay the price of irreparable damage of incessant, constant stress, and that breaks you down. And continual stress either hits your head or heart. At the physical level, it either hits your head or heart. You better watch out. No wonder you find young people at a very young age showing symptoms of such new diseases. There's so many new diseases that seem to be cropping up in the market today. You know, if you ever go to any multi-specialty hospital, and if the hospital is very professional, what they do is they put a display of all their departments and all the doctors in each department, specialists, multi-specialty super hospital nowadays they call themselves. And there are quite a few that has cropped up in every city. And even Hyderabad, you find them plenty. When you walk into the hospital, that it's almost like a wall of fame, you know. You have everything written there, but you find the kinds of specialities that existed. It's a huge billboard or a signboard that hits you. And I said, my God, do all these diseases exist? And it's a thriving profession. Why? Thanks to our lifestyle. So if your physical body is showing symptoms of disease, remember, it is because of your mind and it reflects in it. Watch out. Now, let me spell it out before I connect with Sureshji and Setuji want to contribute something, say something. But I just want to present this to put it on record, what Ashwati rightly said. Remember, the root cause of stress is the desire you continuously keep entertaining recklessly. You believe it is your moral right to demand and desire from the world. When I want to expect something, when I want something, you expect the world should satisfy your wants. You not only you desire, and you also have the audacity to say that the world must satisfy what I want. Imagine if I say, I like to have palak paneer. Example again, Arbiji, you know, I follow one principle which you know, Swami Chinmayananji Gurudev, as they address him, he used to say, never tell your students what you like. Apparently by mistake, he had told Gurudev, what is it you like to eat? You're coming home for the prasad, you know, we would like to make something what you like. And he said he likes some vegetable he mentioned. And the word spread like wildfire. For the next 1 month, he was only eating that. Everywhere he went, they only served bhaingan ka bharta or some dal or some vegetable, he said, and he ate that. And thereafter, he had to bring in strict rules and say, no, I don't like it, please. And from then he decided, I will not tell my shishyas what I want to eat. So that part I'm following. The rest of it, I am trying to emulate Gurudev. Imagine if I say I want to eat palak paneer, and I expect the family to prepare palak paneer. I want it, and I want my family to make sure I have palak paneer when I go back home later today, not realizing what is the situation at home? What is the demand in the kitchen front? Is my family in a position to do? Are there the resources? Are there the ingredients? Is there time at their disposal? If I don't take that into account, as again rightly shared, your unreasonable expectations will create serious disappointments. Remember this, your unreasonable expectations arising from your own desire. I'm addressing the root cause. I'm hitting the nail on the head. This will take time, my dear friends. This approach will take time, but don't resort to quick fixes of trying to deal with stress. It will come back because you continue to entertain unreasonable expectations. So this will lead you to disappointments, and in other terms, it is nothing but stress. What I want may be unrealistic. Please understand. Sometimes it's realistic, no problem. What I want may be unrealistic, but the world is always the reality. Remember this. I'm just spelling it out so that you don't miss it. It becomes very explicit, clear when you present it in a clipping. So you to take a note of it. I'm telling you, it's a serious subject matter, and you must look within and seriously align your inner personality. And if you don't do that, you will have serious consequences. So as long as your desires, So as long as your desires and expectations are reasonable and realistic, you will realize that there will be very less stress or no stress at all. You know, yesterday, my daughter went for a IPL match in Hyderabad. And I prepared her. I told her, do you know what is the kind of weather forecast? It's been pretty cloudy the last few days in Hyderabad. I told her there is 40 to 50% chances at 4:35 p.m. in the evening that it might rain and your match might get washed out. So be prepared for that. She said, Dad, don't spoil the party. I said, I'm not spoiling the party. I said, you will be disappointed if you get prepared that you will be able to enjoy the match and you will have a good time with your friends. I said, I want you to have a good time. I said, yes, please go ahead and enjoy the time, but understand and be prepared. So when you're reasonable and realistic, so at 4:15 or 4:30, it was actually raining at our place. And I messaged her and asked, how is your weather there? She said, so far, so good. The clouds are holding up. It's not raining here. And luckily, it did not rain in that part of the city and the match went on and she enjoyed. Just be prepared. So when you're prepared, you provide, you anticipate. In fact, when you assess well, you know what to expect, what to anticipate, then you're never surprised. So it's just that little inner alignment that you need to make to your desires and expectations. Make them as reasonable as possible. Make them as realistic as possible. Believe me, you'll be no stress. But there's no definition of stress in your life. So when you rationalize your expectations, your acceptance will resonate. Where does it resonate? Your acceptance will resonate with the world, which will create harmony within me first and then in the other person. And acid test is day in and day out. What does it create? I'm just putting all these thoughts so that you take a note of it. So the origin of peace is a belief that something within me is superior to the circumstances. Agree, Anand? The origin of peace comes from the belief that something within me is superior to the circumstances outside. Means I am the master. Remember, I said earlier, your mind is that which projects the world. So if I make a change within me, I am truly a master of everything outside. I don't become a slave to the external situations and circumstances and suffer the consequences. You believe you are a victim of the world. So Shastras are saying you can be a master. You are the master. But that thought starts from within you. That change within you is that matter. The Russian writer Leo Tolstoy says, everyone thinks of changing the world, but no one thinks of changing oneself. Sadly, alas, alas, alas. Nobody even dares to do so. Why? There's some non-alignment. You need to align yourself. Another great thinker said so. Progress is impossible without change, and those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything. The very famous George Bernard Shaw, the Irish dramatist. All of us need to change, have to adapt to change, but not the change in the world. Change within you. Yes, Sureshji.
One of the reasons for stress is that man tries to control things which are not in his control.
Which is?
Which then therefore accepting whatever
trying
happens
to control
or emerges.
Sorry, sir, you are saying trying to control. What are you trying to control?
I try to control the event or my expectation that a person should behave in this particular manner, or this event should turn out the way I want. Therefore, I try to control the course of events or the behavior of a person, which is actually not in my control. And therefore, when I try to control things which are not in my control, I will land myself in misery or stress. This famous cricketer, Anil Kumble, he was a very fine, but it was in the evening of his career that he was made the captain of the Indian cricket team. And he was asked, you should have become captain, Anil, much longer, but you have become captain only now. What do you have to say? And he said, I do not try to control things which are not in my control. This is a very important dimension in life, that our freedom to act is like the tether of a dog. The dog has the freedom to move to the extent the tether permits it. Beyond that, it is not in its control.
Very true. And in fact, if you start looking at life and trying to put a stock of things which you have control over, you will come to a rude awakening, a shocking reality that you have control over nothing. I have no control over anything. Sadly, I have no control over my own self. Forget everything else outside. So, my dear friends, we are looking at how this eternal wisdom can transform your lives at this point. Forget reaching higher spiritual echelons. You can reach spiritual greater heights provided you address your current situation. You got to look at your current situation. And right now, I'm not perceiving that there's something wrong with your life or my life, but yet whatever phase of life you're going through, there could be some amount of stress. And if you highlight that aspect and look at these principles and scrutinize it, it can't be a passing thought of appreciation. It has to be reiterated. You've got to drill these ideas, examine your life, focus your problem with this perspective. Believe me, whatever stress, whatever restlessness your mind is experiencing, instantly it experiences an inner charm. Since we don't reiterate these ideas. This knowledge should not be like a passing breeze. Please open your doors and let it come and consume you. As I think it's Oliver Goldsmith. I don't think it's Oliver Goldsmith. It's William Wordsworth. He says, "You breathe an ethereal air." He says, isn't it? Once you have this wisdom, it just regenerates you. It just refreshes you, and something you can experience it. Something you can make it a reality. Siddhiji?
We are always the choice makers, and we think we are the victim, but we are the culprits. All the time we have the choice, we make the choice, and we blame on the world and the happenings.
Sir, you have no proprietary over those terms. No, I'm going to borrow those terms. You are not a victim, but a culprit. It's no more belongs to you. It's mine. Ashwati, I have claimed intellectual property over it. Can we say so? Can we do that? RPG, well said, isn't it, RPG?
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
this
Culprit.
true,
Good word, strong word.
very strong word. Yeah, we are not victims, we are culprits. Yeah. So you see, there's a lot of wisdom around the wisdom family. So I'm glad there was that wise thought or decision I had to make. What would be the name of organization? I could foresee the kind of people that will be a part of it, so I named it rightly.
To honor them, correct.
Yeah, absolutely, to honor them. Yeah, absolutely. So just to close the concept on stress, stress is mental agitations because of your wrong relationship with the world. The mental accidents that you have every time you deal with the world. Somebody was asked, who is a good driver? And his definition of good driver was, he said, you look on for bad drivers. A good driver is one who looks on for bad drivers. I may be a good driver. I may drive well, but if there are many reckless drivers out there, and I can get into an accident because not of my good driving, but because of their recklessness. And a good driver is one who looks on for those bad drivers. Yes, Sureshji. So could you unmute yourself first, please?
Yeah. One thing which comes to my mind at this stage is that one must always keep the serenity prayer in mind in one's dealings with the world. And that is that God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference.
True. A very famous saying, a very profound saying indeed. True, sir. So true. So let's not blame the world. In fact, gracefully accept it. If the world is rough, so be it. In fact, you need a rough world. Other day we were mentioning, don't we need a rough surface even to polish a diamond? The diamond starts shining only when it is put against a rough surface. And so on. You can take so many examples to explain that concept. So stress, as we firmly believe, in fact, what is the opposite of stress? Nice to see myself reflecting there. Vinay Kumar? Are you there, Vinay?
Oh, can you hear me now?
Indeed, yes. We can't see
Okay.
you though.
Oh, sorry. Let me turn my video back on.
Yeah.
I was trying to see how to raise, get your attention.
I could sense that. See, at least that way you will give some credit to the Guru.
Oh, sure.
Not at all, please. Yeah, now we can see you as well. Good to have
Yes.
you. Yes, please.
Yes. Same here. Same here. Yeah. Your simplification of that stress was eye-opening. I think that's one question I had around that was, so we are sort of not dealing with people in an ideal world where people we are dealing with on a day-to-day are also stressed themselves, and they may have undue expectations of you, or you may have, even though you may try to rationalize within yourself, you're sort of playing into the stress that may be caused by other people as well. Like, how do you suggest we sort of balance it out? I feel that, yes, introspection, trying to look at yourself, definitely is the thing to do, and have to repeatedly do it. That totally makes sense to me. Like, is there any suggestion on how to deal with sort of over-indexing on this side, internalizing everything, and that may also be not healthy in some sense?
Let me understand your question before I plunge into answering. You're saying that it might have a ripple effect of my expectation from the world and the world having a certain expectation from me. So how do I deal with that? Is that what you're asking?
Right. Yeah, like one is, there is this, I always have this dilemma around duty versus that I need to do as part of my duty versus expectations from others. That's one thing. Second thing is more around, if I sort of say nothing is wrong with the world and it's something that I have to change internally and I have to change my expectations, is there any end to say, should I get into this stage where I truly should not have expectations, and is that feasible in the real world?
No, yeah, I get it now. See, if you noted the candid presentations, it clearly said, it did not say no expectation. It's not possible to have no expectation. We only said, you please rationalize your expectations to as much extent as you can. Make it as realistic as possible. And that realistic expectation comes from a proper taking a stock of who I'm dealing with, where am I, which part of the world am I in, whom am I interacting with, because each individual is different. So when you make that clear assessment of what that person is, it's the relationships should start with that note, that let me take a stock of what that person is and establish a right relationship. So I restore my inner peace. Now, the next step forward is see in what way you can bring about a change in the world. If something needs correction, please address it. We can't let the world remain as it is now. If a road needs to be patched up, needs to be asphalted, you will go and do that, don't you? But if you're complaining at an asphalted road, there's something wrong with my expectation, nothing wrong with the world. That's how it's meant to be. So if something needs correction, see to what extent can you bring about a change, provided the other person also is receptive to the idea. The problem is when there are two people, there has to be a compatibility, an understanding. Many a time, the person who wants change imposes the change on the other, rather than a genuineness or an acceptance that yes, there's something wrong and let's bring about a change. But you can do as much as yourself. I can't do much with the other, but appeal with a certain sense of, especially when a parent is trying to correct a child, when a parent notices something distinct, something standing out, that a child is making a mistake. What do you notice in a parent, Vinay?
Yeah, I mean, I think the desire to change sort of is right. Like there is some. I mean, I'm a parent to two girls, so I feel that like my intentions are already visible to them. So
what is more visible? What is more visible than the intention? They're very sharp.
Right, exactly. Yes, yes. Yeah.
What
Yeah,
is
like
more?
the,
What is more evident than the intention is the question. I'm with you. You're right. My question is, what is more evident?
sorry, I'm not, yeah, not sure what.
No, what
Yeah.
is more evident? In fact, you almost spelled it out. What is more evident is the anxiety to correct them.
That's true. That's true. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And in that anxiety, you experience a backlash. You unsettle them,
Mhm.
and it spoils the whole atmosphere.
Yes, totally, totally.
You must give them the space, the time. And if you go about educating them without the anxiety in you, it will be so graciously received because it is being graciously advised.
Mhm.
The problem is we start trying to change the world when they're not ready to change, and that gives us a backlash.
Yep.
Use your own children as to test what I'm saying, and then extend it to your professional life, then extend it to every relationship with the world.
Yeah. Well said.
So
Thank
if
you.
I'm able to control my anxiety and yet see something wrong with them, and if I can bring about a change and correct them and give them the time to change. If I were to correct today, I don't expect them. How many times I've told you to put your footwear properly? There is a proper foot stand, and the footwear should be in the foot stand, not lying outside. And every time you come back from work and you see a child's footwear, first thing is you blow up. And you have told the children umpty number of times to leave the footwear in the foot stand, not to be lying recklessly. Throw them recklessly wherever you want. Will that bring about a change, sir? That is only going to agitate you to a point where you will not enjoy the little time that you want to spend with them after you come back from home from work, and you want to spend that 1 hour with them, and then the things that upset you and unsettle you. I'm not being personally, I'm just taking an example. So there's a saying, a wise man will never unsettle the minds of the ignorant. That's a thumb rule. You must learn to deal with others. There will be a disparity between a wise man and an ignorant person. But a thumb rule is a wise man will never unsettle them. A wise man will only inspire them to live up to greater standards. So correct, go about changing the world, go about reforming the world. Understand, as Ramatirtha says, reforming the world is like straightening a dog's tail. Go about it if you want to, but understand it will not change until they want to change it. So you must give them the time, the space, and deal with that sense of maturity. Then you will find you will accept imperfection and continue to deal with it. It's not that you're giving up. No. I hope that answers. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Definitely. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Most welcome. Right. Thank you. So with this, I would like to move on to the next aspect, how the eternal wisdom would deal with various aspects of our life. The fifth aspect is the mind control. As we noted that the state of your mind determines everything that we do, because the world is a projection of our mind. Now, it is paramount, therefore, that you must get your mind under control. Now, I would quote the 6th chapter of the Gita, and let me chant just to get the flavor of it. And those of you can chant, please chant along with me. Okay. Chanchalam himana Krishna pramathi balavadhrudam tasyaham nigraham manye vayoriva sudushkaram. As you know, the Gita is a conversation between Lord Krishna and Arjuna. And this verse, Arjuna is telling to Lord Krishna The mind, verily, O Krishna, he gives 4 qualities of the devastating nature of your mind. 4 qualities. He paints a picture of 4 attributes of the mind. He says the mind is restless, pramati, turbulent, balavat. I'm sorry. The word chanchalam is restless. Pramati means turbulent. Balavat is strong and obstinate. Dhrudam. So the mind is restless, turbulent, strong, and obstinate. I consider it as very difficult to control as the wind. And I'm not sharing the next verse because it takes you out of context. In the next mantra, Lord actually answers to Arjuna's question. So the 6th chapter, 35th verse, the Lord is answering. And in the end of it, he says, Abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena ch guhyate. So he says that indeed it can be controlled through practice and dispassion. Now, one of the most important principles, I will expand certainly today and perhaps leading into the next session, the various aspects. I'm just giving you a reference, authoritative reference. What is the nature of mind? I will give you, give me a minute, how many aspects of the mind? I will paint 6 aspects of the mind. Today we'll certainly look at a few. 6 powerful aspects of the mind which needs control. And if you are not able to control this nature of the mind, as you would understand, an uncontrolled mind wreaks havoc. If you're not able to control your mind, it causes great chaos. It causes considerable damage in your life. Now, what is the most important thumb rule? Everybody is trying to control the mind, unmindful of this law. And the first and the foremost principle of the law you must understand while controlling the mind. Can anybody want to take a guess? It is a law, my dear friends. It is not my view. When I take to this presenting the truth, it is not to give my perspective of the truth, but to give out the truth. It's not my version of the truth, please. What is that law? You must understand this when you want to control the mind. My job is to make you all think. I keep saying I want to play a role as a moderator. RPG, any thoughts? I know you have been a student of this knowledge, so you may.
Yeah, I have, but
No
Um,
pressure
my-
on you, huh?
my
No
mind is
pressure on you
also
at all.
my mind is
Sorry?
also old. My mind is also old now. So I was thinking about, I don't, when you said law, that kind of tripped me up, but I was the not law of, but raga dvesha, right? Likes and dislikes. But I don't sense that that's the right one. So I'm
No,
kind of
I get you. In fact, Raga Dvesha is one of the natures of the mind. One of the qualities or attributes of the mind, which I would get into right away. But one of the important things you must keep in mind when you want to control the mind. And without that, you cannot control the mind. What is that law? All right, RPG, no problem. Gayatri, any idea? What is that law?
It's the subtle which cannot controls the gross, like subtle
You know,
controls the
RPG?
gross.
RPG, know where she got the answer from? I know she would know it, but I had shared the PPT for her as a backup. So she actually has access to that. Gayatri Ma, you are cheating. This is not allowed. This is
Guruji, I
open,
didn't even see
outright
the
cheating.
PPT. I didn't see the
I know.
PPT yesterday also.
No, you are absolutely right. The thumb rule or the law which governs how the mind should be controlled is it is the subtle that controls the gross. Now, in life, what is subtle, what is gross? Take a note of this, my dear friends. Please take a note of this. The world doesn't seem to have clarity on this, and I will justify this, please. I'm making a very strong statement. I will justify whatever I'm saying. Start from the very gross, the lowest. The lowest is the sense objects, the world. Subtler than the sense objects, the world is the body, the senses. If I want to control my weakness towards the sense objects, like tongue has got a weakness for taste, eyes has got weakness for sight, ear has got weakness for sound, etc. So senses have got a temptation for the sense objects, the temptations of the world. If you want to control your body and the senses, it is the mind that governs the senses. Now, if you want to control the mind can only, and I'm saying it very candidly, the mind can only be controlled with the intellect, because intellect is the only tool subtler than the mind. There is nothing other than the mind which is subtler, which can directly control the mind. It is the intellect, and intellect is a product of wisdom. This is the hierarchy. So it is the wisdom, the intellect that controls the mind controls the body and the senses. And when they are controlled, you will have a control over your temptations. You'll have a control over your senses. Now, this is not followed. What is the general presumption? And I'm nothing against that school of thought, nor have I anything against the practice. Many people believe yoga helps to control the mind. How many of you have not heard that? You have heard that again and again, isn't it? Many people, those who do yoga, also claim, and I can't go and sit in argument with them. I'm not against anybody. I'm trying to present a school of thought to take everybody along with you. Now, what is the fallacy if you say physical yoga can control the mind? What's the fallacy in that? Is it a holiday in Hong Kong, Harish? You're at home today? Or not yet work, huh?
The Guruji, no, not yet work. It's still 8 in the morning. So I'm going
okay.
after the class.
Yeah, great. Now, can you tell me, Harish, what is wrong? Or what is a fallacy? I'm not trying to say what is right, what is wrong, but there's a logical fallacy. And if you continue that way, you may not get the desired result. So there is a fallacy in the approach that physical yoga can help you control the mind. What's the fallacy in the thinking?
Physical yoga is an external action, an external movement. The mind has to be controlled within.
Mm-hmm.
Having an external movement does not create it does not create a calm mind. It just creates more physical benefits, not mental benefits to that state.
I'm sorry, you're not convincing enough. I am not convinced. You're right, but then you're not giving any logical explanation to me. How should I be convinced? Okay, I am doing anything external, but how does it help me to control my mind? I believe it's going to control my mind. If I were to sit calm and breathe, as they say, one of the quick fixes people give when you're stressed, they say, take a walk, breathe. Right? But by breathing, am I going to control my stress? In fact, my breath has gone off its normal rhythm because I was stressed. So breathing imbalance is the result of stress. So stress is the cause. My breathing imbalance is the effect. So if I were to breathe properly, you think the stress will go off? I can't understand the logic. There is a logical fallacy here. I hope you're able to see. It's like the child going through the wedding album of the parents. And the child was crying and bitterly complaining. And the mother was laughing and laughing until the father came to see the drama going on. Why is the mother laughing and the child crying, and what is going on? And the mother told the father, what is that going on? She said, the child is complaining that why is the child not there in any of the picture in the entire marriage album? How to tell the child that the child is a product of marriage? The child doesn't understand that. So the product of stress is breath imbalance. And how can I breathe properly to get back to that? It cannot. It's an effect. How can an effect take care of the cause? It cannot. I can go on, I tell you. But my job is not to convince you or to change your thought process. My point is to present. If you want to control your mind, my dear friends, you must deal it the right way. And what is the fallacy in that, Harish, is, okay, let me hear. Some of them want to clarify that. I would like to hear out. But let me first hear to Lalitama, please.
Yes, wait, I can't see you. Yeah, I'm new to this group. I'm from New Jersey, USA.
You're most welcome. Good to have you, ma.
Thank you so much. Well, I thought when you take a deep breath, the pain is controlled when you take a deep breath. And when the pain is controlled, your stress is less. And I'll tell you from my own experience. When I was getting chemo for my cancer, and they used to put the tube in there, I used to take a deep breath, and that time my yoga helped me so much. Okay? I couldn't feel the pain, the prick of the needle. Okay? And that helped me. So when you are stressed or you're in pain, when you take a deep breath, you don't feel the pain.
I'm 100% with you what you said. I will not take anything away from what you said. But what you're talking about, ma, is the physical symptoms you're talking about.
Right.
When we say stress or controlling the mind is at the subtler level. Yoga, breathing, I've been doing yoga for the past 34 years. You'll not believe, after the class, I will do my yoga because it's 5:40 in the morning. After the satsang, I will go and do my yoga. I will do my stretching. I will do all I need to do to keep my body in good shape and repair.
Right.
But it's not that I'm ignorant of what I'm saying. I know what physical yoga is. I know its benefits. But it can only mend your body. Physical yoga cannot mend the mind. I'm talking, it can't calm your mind. It can't take care of your fear. It can't take care of your attachments. It can't address your expectations. It can't address the insecurities. It can't deal with the mental stress. The physical stress, yes, the physical stress, the muscles and the pain and aches, all that is all with the pranayama, the breathing exercise, all the stretching, all that helps. I guarantee you, I will in fact encourage you to do that. I'm so happy that you experience that benefit of doing the right breathing. We breathe 24 hours a day, 365 days. Unconsciously we're breathing. But the moment it becomes conscious, its benefits are different. Conscious breathing is pranayama. Unconsciously, I am breathing right now. Every moment you and I are breathing. But there's no benefit of that. It's just mere survival. What invigorates your body is conscious breath.
But isn't physical stress connected to mental stress?
It is connected, but that connection is being stretched beyond a point where it loses its elasticity and applicability. That is where my point of contention is. There is a connect, but then you connect it beyond where its relevance is and loses the applicability. Let me give an example, Ma. You know, I'm sure you are getting a taste of the lovely Indian mangoes in New Jersey as well. When you have that Indian mango, you need the right soil, you need the right climate, you need everything conducive for that mango to ripen, be that true Indian mango, not disregarding to other mangoes. I remember when I used to live in Malaysia, that part of the world for many years, throughout the year we would get mangoes in the supermarkets, lovely looking, wholesome, huge mangoes. They would come from Thailand or Indonesia or here or there. They only look like a mango where I had to put a mango syrup on that and eat the mango. Man, it's only a look-alike. It's really, Ashwati, I know what he can relate to it. Correct, Ashwati? They only look like mango. They are not real mango because they don't have that real flavor. Now, can I say, okay, ma'am, would you say, oh, the mango is so authentic and this is real mango, it's all because of the soil? So what you say, you please import a truckload of soil from India, from South India, where the mangoes are grown, perhaps from your own farm here in India, you'd say, let me get a truckload of mud from there to New Jersey and plant the mango in the same soil. Which seed? The Thailand seed mango you put in that soil. Will you get the same Alfonso mango or the Indian mango? You wouldn't get. Now I ask you, is it the soil that produces the seed? Is it the soil that produces the fruit or the seed that produces the fruit?
It could be both.
It is both, but the quality of the fruit is depending on the soil or the seed.
I think it is both.
Which is more?
Of course, the quality of the soil.
Huh? Not the seed, is it?
The quality of the seed, sorry.
That is my point, sir. That is my
Right.
point, Ma. The seed is important. The seed will not grow if I plant it on a rocky surface, obviously. The soil is as much important as the seed, but without the seed, the soil is of no use. So yoga is like the soil which is conducive to control the mind, but yoga by itself doesn't control the mind. It is a conducive environment it provides. But the seed to control the mind is the intellect. You need that higher wisdom. Yoga is a physical practice, though they have made it more holistic by adding all what they can add into it. I'm nothing against it, but what we are saying is you must see the difference between what is conducive vis-a-vis what is the cause and effect. Yoga is gross. Controlling the mind is subtle. So gross cannot and will not control the subtle. And this is the point for your observation and consideration.
Guruji, when you go to exercise and you come back, your mind feels better. Why?
Because your physical body is in a good space. You've done what your body needs to do, which is to keep it in good repair.
Correct.
It creates an aura. It creates an environment where it lends its charm to the mind. But that doesn't mean it addresses the disease of the mind. It's just conducive. But you can't stretch it beyond a point. That's the point. Now, you will appreciate that if I were to go into the detail of what are the various aspects of the mind which needs to be controlled. Right, Ma? You okay?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So, thank you. So the various aspects of the mind, the first aspect of the mind which needs to be controlled is your desires. So you must and you can control your mind only with your intellect. And intellect is a product of your wisdom. So one of the first aspects of the mind is your mind entertains desires. The famous words of the 3rd chapter. Avratam jnanametena jnanino nitya vairinam kama rupena kaunteya dushpurena nalena cha. A very, very famous verse. Anand, can you read the verse for me, please? The translation.
Oh, Kaunteya, wisdom is covered by this constant enemy of the wise in the form of desire, an insatiable fire.
As insatiable as fire.
As insatiable fire.
Can you help us understand what the verse is saying here?
Yeah, I mean, wisdom is trying to come forward, but it's clouded, and the desire stands like a mountain in front of it. I was going back to looking at my notes from before, is the law of deserving versus desire. It's connected to that, but yeah, I mean, you're trying to gain wisdom, and like you said, have the subtle control the gross, but the desire is what's coming in between.
So he compares the nature of fire. Very true what you said. The wisdom is clouded by the maze of desires, that clouds the clarity of the intellect. And he says that desire, he compares it to fire. So what is the nature of fire here we are comparing?
Divorce
Insatiable.
everything in its path.
It devours everything in its path. But he qualifies as insatiable.
So
what is insatiable?
Feeds. Yeah, it constantly, unending, feeds the
It
growing fire.
constantly, it keeps wanting more, isn't it? The desire is compared to fire. No fire is ever contented. The fire will consume and consume and consume until it destroys you. So you remember, your mind in the form of your desire that you're breeding within your bosom is your own enemy. Nitya Vairinam, not once in a while. It is your constant enemy. That's the words that the Gita uses, the Lord uses. Now, any amount of physical yoga, I may be able to stand on my head for hours on end, drag on my feet. It's not going to help me control my mind. It's not able to inject wisdom and bring in peace and sanctity to my inner personality. I will fall a prey to my desires. So your desire is your mind rushing out into the world, and any amount of external rush, better watch out. Your mind constantly wants something or the other. It is never contented. It will never be contented. Don't try to fool yourself by thinking that you can come around it by conquering it. Any amount of outward pursuit will not give you that peace and contentment within. And the Shastras have highlighted it. Ravana wanted Sita. And he said, so what? I have the power. I have, as you know, in the Bhajagovinda, Madhu Shankaracharya says, Ma kuru dhana jana yauvana garvam harati nimeshat kala sarvam. But Ravana didn't understand. Dhana jana yauvana garvam, he said. There are three reasons Shankaracharya says that you can get arrogance. You can get arrogance through dhana, jana, yavana. Dhana is wealth, jana is following, yavanam is youth. So Ravana had that power and wealth, and he had the arrogance that he can get whatever he wants. And he fell a prey to the mind desiring Sita. and you know what happened. That desire, that wanting, destroyed it. So the first thing you must understand is your mind is your enemy. Your mind, I'm not putting words, please. I'm only trying to give light to what our profound wisdom is saying. And I'm not personifying the mind as wisdom. Please understand. I hope you all can get the point. When I say mind is enemy, what I meant is an uncontrolled mind is your enemy, not a controlled mind. The moment you can control your mind, it's a beauty. Now the question is, do you listen to your mind or does your mind listen to you? Are you a master of the mind or is your mind your master? As long as your mind can listen to you, you're fine. But if your mind starts dictating terms, then you're into it. I've got 5 more aspects in the mind, how you want to control the mind. And there are a few more aspects which we will certainly touch upon. So we come back next session, which will be the penultimate session of the 6-week lecture series into the eternal wisdom. So I hope to see you all again next week. Okay, we'll come back. Thank you. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.